Business Beat, the business show that marches to its own beat. I'm your host, Vuyisa Kabaka. Tonight, we're going down a journey of exporting our creative craft talent. And this evening, we are joined by Aretha Doyle, the founder of Cool Tabs Accessories. Aretha, good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. Before we get into Cool Tabs and the wonderful things that you guys are doing, let's start with your story. Where does Aretha get this inspiration and this great creative talent? Just tell us a little bit about that.
All right. I'm from East London. Grew up there, studied there, and then I came here to study. And I've always had a thing of having my own shop, and I love fashion. So after school, I went to retail, and then I worked there for like a few years. And then when I was working, I worked for a place that was doing jewelry. So I started learning how to do jewelry there. And then in 2013, I went to the Watershed looking for a space for my jewelry that I was making. And because there's too many people like making jewelry, and I had a bag that was made from the Cool Tabs that I have made for myself from collecting the tabs. There was like lots of thing going on about collecting the tabs and then sending somewhere, and then you get 2,000 rand for a 2-liter bottle. I'm sure everybody knows the story. So I had them, so I didn't know what to do with them. So I started like playing around with them, and I wanted to make coasters, but because of the shape of the tabs, so the glass couldn't stand. So while I was making that, I was making it the round ones. So I decided, let me just go up. So I went up, so it was like, give me a nice shape. So I decided, okay, why don't I just pull stripes on that and then see what's going to happen? So it was a bag.
That was the first bag?
Yes.
Wow.
So people wanted it. So when I went to the waterfront, looking for a space for my jewelry, I had the bag with me. So they were more impressed with the bags. Yes. Yeah. So they said that if I wanted a space for the bags, and then they would have given me a space right there. Yeah. So I decided, okay, I'm not going to take chances. I'm going to go back, do my research, find out how I'm going to collect the tabs and everything else, make sure that I can have more designs, and then before they open the Watershed, then I'll have like this stock.
Wow.
So I went back.
We'll go deeper into that, but I just wanted to first understand. So your product is, would you classify yourself in accessories, or is it a craft? Is it, which space would you have yourself fit?
It's accessories.
Yeah.
Because I don't just make bags.
Okay.
I make jewelry, I make necklaces, bracelets, and then I keep on making more designs.
Yeah. Wow.
It is craft though, because it's handmade, and nice thing is it's environmentally friendly. Yes, it's recycled.
Yeah, so just talk me through your creative process. What gives you the inspiration to do these wonderful items?
It's fashion, man.
Yeah?
I'd say, I love seeing people looking good, wearing nice things, and especially if they wear like your top, like African stuff, handmade things. So I'm more into like local made stuff. Yeah. I support the local.
You are now starting to export your product.
Yes.
What kind of countries are showing interest in this product that you guys are making?
Europe.
Mostly Europe. Wow. Yes. So you're getting paid in pounds and euros. Hey,
yes.
Some people are liking it. And how are you finding the process? Has it been a smooth process, or is it mostly kind of tourist-driven process? Where are you at with that process at the moment?
The process, it's not, if you're at the right place, I would say, because I'm at the waterfront, Watershed, it's a tourist destination, everyone wants to be there, and I get my clients from there, most of them, and I'm also on social media. I have a Facebook page, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, so yeah. Very cool. So like I have clients have someone in France.
As a distributor agent?
Yes, one in France, one in Switzerland, and then I have one in Holland, and I just met another person yesterday from England. Okay, brilliant. Yeah.
Now, in our show, we always have an expert come in and chat to us. And this evening, we're very fortunate to have Patrick Schofield, who started Streetwise some time ago. And, part of what we try to help the up-and-coming high-growth entrepreneur is to identify the challenge so that the expert can support. What have been the challenges that you faced in your business?
The challenge that I had with the exporting, it was not sending stuff to them, it was receiving money from them. Okay. Yes, because I was with the wrong bank and they couldn't process my funds from them to me. So I had to change banks. So I'll say to people, before you take those things or what open the business account to make sure that
You got,
yes,
yeah, especially for international
Yes,
payments as well.
yes.
Before we go to break, what has been your inspiration? A young person watching the show saying, Aretha is the inspiration of my life. What has been your inspiration so that they know?
Going around, because before I got the space at the watershed, I was like going around Woodstock Exchange, Biscuit Mill, see what other people are doing, you know,
Yeah.
get inspired, buy magazines, like go through, find whatever can inspire you, but you must go with whatever you like, because if you're going to do something that you don't like, it's pointless.
And the hard work on your side?
It's very hard sometimes, I
Yeah.
don't sleep.
Yeah? So you
It's
must be
very
willing to just to keep going.
Yes,
Yeah,
I mean,
brilliant.
like I tell myself, okay, today I want to make stock of this much. So if I'm not gonna do that, and then I'm not
Brilliant.
gonna sell anything.
Awesome stuff. So that was Aretha Doyle, the founder of Cool Tabs Accessories. And again, an amazing story of a woman doing dynamic things, pushing boundaries, finding global markets, and servicing the European market with uniquely African creations. Join us after the break as we are joined by Patrick Schofield from Streetwires as he gives some advice to Aretha, but also gives us deeper context around the potential for exports of our creative crafts. After the break. Good evening and welcome back to Business Beat. If you're only joining us now, you missed the dynamic story of Aretha Doyle, the founder of Cool Tab Accessories, a wonderful women's startup that's now taking on the world. Joining us now is Patrick Schofield, the founder of Streetwires, another quintessentially Cape Town company taking on the world with its wares. Patrick, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Bill. Thanks for having us.
Good to have you here. Now, I know your story, and I mean, you're doing so many awesome things. But before I get into Streetwires, just take me a little bit back about the business and where you guys started.
You know, we started in the year 2000, so that's over 16 years ago now, so it's been quite some time. And we started in a mental institution, Falkenberg, which is just around the corner from where the studios are right now. And my father thought we were a bit nuts. Because he was like, what are you doing? I've paid for you to get a good education. Now what's the stuff you're doing in craft? And I said, we can create a really good business in the craft space that can also have a very positive social impact. And craft is very powerful in that way. So we started Streetwires. And we thought, if you take people who are very well skilled, people who are very good crafters, bring them together with people who are good in marketing, and bring them together with people who are good in administration, you can then multiply the potential opportunities that you can for the individual crafters.
Brilliant. Now, before we get into Aretha and some of the challenges that she's recently faced, just give us context around this industry. And, you know, you guys are one of the kind of early adopters to this new way of thinking. You found global audiences that are very interested in the creative talent. But define it for us in terms of what does it entail to build success in the space?
Sure. You know, firstly, as Aretha was saying, you've got to understand your market. So getting out there, doing the research, seeing what other people are doing and what's selling, that's so important. A crafter or a designer or an artist might have 20 different great ideas. You've got to find the one that is actually tapping into the market as it is today, and then get out there and test it. So before you go and make the 1,000 pots or the 1,000 handbags, test a few and see if they're selling.
And Aretha's key issue was around obviously making sure that you got the right banking. But I want to expand that. So respond to the context of, you know, Forex and handling Forex and the implications therein. But expand that for me a little bit and say, you know, how do you get the business to be kind of structurally better funded and sustainable?
Okay. You know, export is a very tricky game. So what I would say straight up is don't even think about exporting until you have a solid product and you started testing and making sure that you have a product that works locally, because any problem that you have creating a product now and shipping it locally will be multiplied by 10 by the time it gets overseas. So make sure that you've got a really good product before you start exporting. The next thing is, like what Aretha is working with at the moment, you can do it on an informal basis, let's say. Someone says, I'd like you to send me a bag to another country. At that stage there, you don't need to be registered with, and with an export license and that kind of thing, because you're doing it on an individual basis. You're in essence sending a gift. And it's a good way to test things and figure out what works and what doesn't. Because you send one product, a person doesn't like it, you use one sale. If you send 100 products to a potential shop and something's wrong, much bigger problem. So you'll see there's a fair amount of informal trade initially, but the minute you start dealing with more established brands, then you need to go down to SARS and you need to register as an exporter, get an exporter license and an importer license. It comes as a single license. But to do that, you need your tax clearance, either as a sole proprietor or as a business. So there's a number of steps. But you know what I can say is the guys at SARS, they're good, and they 5-8 years ago it was more difficult. Now they're on the ball; they'll help you out.
Okay. And how do you deal with the banks? I mean,
Okay.
Seemingly they're part of the problem somehow.
Well, most of the banks in South Africa allow you to set up a business account. Then you're fine, you're done. Some of the banks only deal locally, and there one has to be aware that it is more difficult. But nowadays, you can also work with third-party agents. So, for example, there's a fantastic local company called Shopstar that will allow you to set up an online shop on their website. It's all branded with your own branding, and they can process all the payments for you. So in that case, you don't even need to have a bank account that accepts international payments. You can do everything through a third party.
Yeah. And things like PayPal and these kind of integrated international service platforms, is it important to have one of those immediately, or?
Look, I would not say set up your own shop, online shop off the start. I would say work with a third party. So Shopstar or Shopify, also very good. They handle all that stuff. And you know, the cost and expense it takes to build your own website is just not worth it when you've got really good services like them. Facebook as well. Instagram. They're great individual channels to get out there and start and test.
Then now, you guys have obviously been on this journey for a while. How do you, any tips on how to survive and kind of grow into the space?
Yes. Firstly, start small, test it. When you see you're onto a good thing, then you start looking to take on new people and train them. But what I would say is don't go with a shotgun approach. So don't just go and try and contact everyone. Identify a few really good customers, and the ones who are giving you trouble, or the ones who are really pushing you on price, let them go. Because most businesses fail not because they don't have enough opportunities, but because they don't know which ones to focus on.
And they chase the wrong opportunity.
Exactly.
Exhausting limited resources.
Yeah.
And just as a closing remark, Patrick, any motivation for up-and-coming growth entrepreneurs like Aretha who are in this particular space looking to export their product?
Absolutely. Form partnerships. Identify people who you really want to work with and form partnerships with them to access the markets that are going to be most important for your product.
Brilliant. That was Patrick Schofield, the founder of Streetwires, again giving us some incredible insight around how to get your product ready for export, but also finding the right customers all around the world. Do bring your pen and paper after the break as we go deeper into these lessons around export, but also as we close the show. Join us after the break. Welcome back to the show. If you're only joining us now, we are at that point where we recap the show and we talk about what we've learned this evening. Earlier on the show, we're joined by Aretha Doyle, the creative founder behind Cool Tabs Accessories, as well as Patrick Schofield, the founder of Streetwires, another quintessentially Cape Town craft exporting business. Now, tonight was one of those shows where really it's a meeting of minds and again, a meeting of creatives. And out of Aretha, we learned the importance of doing your market research, but most importantly, the willingness to work hard through all the odds to find the right product. And again, you never know where your opportunities will come from. And for her, it's turned out that the waterfront has been nothing but a great marketplace, not only to grow a brand, but also to give market validation. Patrick gave us some interesting insights around how you get your business started, especially when you have export in mind, but he made sure that he mentioned the fact that it's important that you start small and you iterate the growth of your business before you take it big and you take it all over the world. So in Patrick's eyes, always make sure that you're doing the small things right first before you look to go for the big game. But also what we learned this evening is how important it is that you need to collaborate and partner. Find like-minded creators that, again, you can learn a great deal from. Try for collaborative approaches to kind of co-create new ranges and new products together. This is not the first time we've learned this lesson. We've certainly, in other creative segments, have learned the importance of creative collaboration. And again, that was repeated and reiterated this evening by Patrick. Now, as we learn more about the export space, join us still as we link up to another insert from another expert who will talk to us about the importance of getting the basic things right and the detail to get your business ready for export and or export readiness. Enjoy the link.
The general things that we need to know before we even consider exporting is to ask the question whether our product is ready for export. And there's a few things we must consider. The first is if it is a product that is successful in South Africa, it's not to say that the Germans are going to love it equally much, or the people in China or Australia. So we have to do very solid market research to find out what is there already, what the kind of products are that they are using that would be competing with our product. So the first question is our product ready in terms of what do that market want? And the other thing is it legal in their country? Because the mere fact that it is okay to sell that product here, oranges for instance, we cannot just sell our oranges anywhere across the world because they have all kinds of rules and regulations and stuff. So depending on the kind of product that you are manufacturing, you need to find out exactly what kind of standards you have to adhere to. So question one answered. If your product is ready, the next big question is your business ready for export? And when we look at the business, the first thing we have to look at is the skills of the people that are in the business at the moment. Because exporting requires way different skill sets than just working and selling in South Africa. You will need to do a lot of admin. You will have to negotiate with the Reserve Bank, with SARS, and import agents and export people. So that is a way wider skill set than what we mostly have in people that are just selling in South Africa. So either make the decision to employ somebody or buy in the skills, contract in the skills as and when you need it. The next thing is your business processes. We must be absolutely sure that your business processes are ready. So your system of capturing things, of keeping track, because especially some international markets want to know exactly up to the source where that little thing grew. They want to know everything. So your business processes must be aligned. And the last thing, which is the one that I have found from my experience, is the one that cuts off the knees of most people, is capacity. Because they had okay capacity for the South African market, and here comes this international contract, and suddenly the one order is bigger than what they usually produce in 6 months. And the business just doesn't have the capacity to do that. So find out and get your stuff in and decide up to where you want to go. Because it's also okay, even though it is a huge exporter, people that are interested in your product, to say, listen, I can only supply 1,000 beautiful products, but I'm unable to do 10,000. And then they have to do business with you. Set your limit and they will do business with you. There's a few enablers that are exciting. If you already have a strong position in the buying country, in other words, people that ask you, say, listen, I want your product, I will sell your product, I will market, you're already on a better foot than just going into it blindly. The other thing is a very good track record in South Africa, because they will do research about you. They will check you out. So make sure that if they check you out, that they don't get any nasty stories about you not delivering on contracts or being late with orders or anything like that. Build up and make sure that you have a solid track record in South Africa.
I hope you enjoyed that clip and found it as informative as I did. Again, exporting is the one great thing that every country needs to do. And the more of our products that we get to see different markets around the world, the more growth and certainly the more job creation. I hope you've enjoyed another great segment of a Business Beat. And again, we'll continue to watch the show to take great lessons on how to build your business. You can find us on social media platforms. We just search Business Beat on Facebook, and you'll also find us on Twitter as well. But join us again next week as we hear another exciting story from another great entrepreneur with many industry experts. Good night.